Welcome, Paul. It's one of the first episodes of Dynamic Insights, our multifamily marketing segment. It's great to have you on the show. Can you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so how's it going? I'm Paul. I'm our VP of Marketing and Technology at Thrive. So my teams oversee everything from creative services all the way through marketing management and the whole systems side as well. So systems admin and all that. So stay pretty busy on a day-to-day basis, that's for sure.
I love it.
Yeah.
So as VP of Marketing, you probably stay pretty up to date with some of the industry trends and marketing trends.
I mean, we try, right?
Other than ChatGPT, which is a very hot topic right now, what are some of the trends that you're seeing that you in your company and your team are going kind of towards?
Yeah, it's funny you have to like specifically say that so people don't just like go down a rabbit hole. Is that like a normal thing?
So I had to adjust that comment because of Social Media Summit this last week when I would ask people hot takes, ChatGPT. It was on everybody's mind of like how it can get incorporated into what they're doing day to day. And it was role agnostic. Every role that I talked with was talking about a different way that ChatGPT is going to incorporate. So I'm incorporating that, and we'll get to ChatGPT a little later too.
Okay, I'll try to keep it locked up for that. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on. I think overall, seeing the industry, in my opinion, start to catch up a little bit in the way of just with the general scale of marketing. I feel like we're finally making some strides on the integration and tech front that kind of channels into marketing, which is, I think I get excited because I get to oversee the systems groups as well. So we're really close knit in terms of like keeping everything like dialed in and like connected at all times. So yeah, I'm excited to see things kind of just trend in the right direction, but also it's kind of off the cuff, but I really like the social responsibility marketing that I'm seeing happening now. I think, and we're trying to explore a few areas with that on the reputation building side. I'm really excited about, I don't know, kind of like the shift in trends where, Gen Z's really a full force in the kind of the demographics we're working with. And I think we're really trying to help tailor our take to make sure we're speaking to everybody and really speaking to them from a perspective of, social responsibility as well. So not easy for sure. A lot to work on, especially in multifamily, where the name isn't necessarily always, the best with that.
Very true. So from a social responsibility side, are you focused more on like thinking of it through like ESG? Are you more focused on like how the footprint and the green footprint of your community is benefiting the area, or is it more on like what you're doing from a volunteer standpoint? Because I know you guys have a very big volunteer arm. Or is it even the governance side? Like, do you guys get involved with more political side of stuff to like try and help both resident support and owner support?
Yeah, good question. So we're third party management. So we try as much as we can to impact the sustainability on the physical property, but I think where our teams have been able to do a lot is just on the overall sustainability practice. So I think what like an example of one of the programs we've worked on recently is we're rolling out a one review, one tree program. And so we're actually incentivizing both prospects, residents, and anyone going through a maintenance request to essentially give us that feedback on Google. And once they do fill out, kind of our linked up reputation form that then directs them to do a Google review, whether or not it's a good or a bad or an ugly review, we've committed to planting a tree or a native species plant in the Pacific Northwest to kind of like help offset that. So it's a great way for us to kind of intrigue people and get them, to actually fill out a review when they're not just angry about something. But also then it gives our team an opportunity to go do these really fun planting events. Like we're doing a nursery event next week after next, clearing out blackberry bushes for a planting next week. And we've had a lot of fun kind of just trying to up the ante when we're getting feedback, which I think kind of goes into my opinions on, reputation and multifamily and all that as well.
That's really cool. And so with the residents then, in addition to being able to leave the review, are they also able to like plant the trees with your teams, or is it more of like company focused for the team plant or the tree planting, whereas they reap the benefit of like feeling socially good about?
Yeah, so we haven't been able to engage. I mean, we have 20,000 plus residents. So we haven't been able to engage and open up that floodgate, I'll say, yet, because we have about 600 Thrivers. on our team. So honestly, it's been hard to find enough planting events just for the
solid.
Thrive folks we have interested. So I think I'm really excited how we can scale this. I'm actually excited for other companies and industries to get involved too, potentially. It's been a really fun thing to talk about with our teams because they just get so excited to kind of diversify the volunteer events. Like we're already doing like tiny house type stuff and but this is more like for people that are into that and that really relate to that. We want to have, with the amount of people we want to have something for everyone. So this has been fun. And King County has a 3 million trees by 2025 initiative that they have. So we've been able to partner with them to help with their events. But usually it's a matter of like getting the facility and the trees ready, not necessarily like having the human hands to help. So I mean, we've filled up quite a few volunteer events for the next couple months. So we're excited about it.
That's awesome. I'm interested to see like the annual report you guys put together at the end of this because it's going to be really exciting.
We're going to do some video, lots of video content. So
you guys just recently did kind of pivoting to a question not on topic, but the video segments that you guys did down in Portland. Tell us a little bit about like the importance of that and kind of how that played into your overall marketing strategy.
Yeah, we've been trying to do a lot more on the video front. So I think we did a big shoot in Portland. We haven't really released much of it yet. So we'll be releasing some hopefully into this week for Women's History Month, which is a big piece. And then we just want to make sure we have really dynamic, like kind of first party content as much as possible. We felt like on social and in general, we ended up resharing stuff and using the same, photos or videos or kind of stock type stuff here and there. And we just want to stay away from that as much as possible. And we've partnered with a couple local firms that have been really experts in the video production side because we're definitely not that. So it's been nice to have.
That's super exciting too because like you briefly touched on Gen Z and the social component, and that was actually a topic in Social Media Summit where Gen Zs don't want the National Donut Days. They don't want, who doesn't want a donut? But like they don't want that to be the recurring element that they see every single year, but actually seeing like unique content to their community, to their like neighborhoods. So I think that's a really interesting play, and I'm excited to see it launch.
Yeah, we are too. Stay tuned. We'll see.
Okay. Jumping back on track. Now it's time for the ChatGPT and AI component. Doesn't have to specifically be ChatGPT.
Okay.
Could be AI. With your guys' tech stack or your just day-to-day operations, where are you seeing AI incorporated into either A, your marketing efforts, or B, leasing efforts, and how does that helping improve or even just offset your progress?
Yeah. So on our side, obviously it helps to have great vendors that can execute on that for us and help keep us at the forefront. But at this point, I'm not going to lie, like there hasn't been a huge influx of AI usage, at least, and I don't think there's been a ton that make it super easy to use or really adds a huge amount of value right now. I'd love it if there were. We beta tested a handful of different kind of initial response platforms that integrate with CRM that have been fairly successful, but I think it's still a lot of kinks to work out. Man, as far as what I'm most excited about on it though, I should say I've used it personally as well to kind of like be a bit of an extra writing prompt and inspiration for, if you need to kind of write creatively about something. It's been really nice to throw those prompts out there and see kind of what direction it goes and then kind of riff off of that. So I'm not gonna say I haven't used it, but I'm excited on the social media side. I'm sure I'm beating a dead horse and you talked about this all last week, but I'm super excited for kind of like the image generation, like on brand content, because I think every property manager and property has this huge bank of hopefully pretty high quality imagery. And then obviously great branding, all that fun stuff, table stakes type stuff. And to be able to bring those two things together without our teams having to spend the time to create it. So, essentially just like we watched the Canva, they had their big world event.
It was incredible.
I know, I'm like, geez, Apple needs to catch up. That was amazing. There's so much energy, right?
Yeah.
And seeing them talk about how they're incorporating it to bring in, which we're big Canva fans, to bring in kind of like the imagery curation and creation, I should say, to make those like social posts really engaging and exciting. That kind of stuff I think is excited from our content teams. And on the back end for the leasing teams, I think I think it's only a matter of time until we have a really good solution to help our leasing teams with those initial contacts, especially from sources that don't convert as high, that really just, they need to feel like somebody's taking the time or something's taking the time to like service their needs, but also, with this 100-unit property with a couple people on site, like they don't always have the time to like weed through those until they really start having discussions. So I'm excited to just make that a little bit more easy for the teams to manage and still have prospects have a good experience.
Yeah, we use Canva for our marketing team as well.
Yeah.
Like I have Adobe for like the more complex stuff, but then
Yeah.
when it comes to brand consistency and being able to produce large quantities of work in a quick turnaround, it's just a game changer. Like being able to enter in, here's one template, and then it can reformat it to every other platform.
It's good.
It's really helpful.
Yeah, and if you haven't watched that event, watch it. It'll make you feel both excited about the future, and you also feel like you have way less energy than these people, and how are they so much cooler than us, kind of in general.
Exactly. Yeah, I'll plug it in the link.
Yeah.
But the stuff that I was seeing, I don't know if you know Chris Arnold at all, but he hosts a podcast and was doing some stuff where he was playing around with, I think it was Midjourney, and being able to create these prompts to generate beautiful model unit shots using pre-existing empty vacant shots. It's a real concern of mine of like, okay, there goes like a lot of jobs. Do renderings.
We've already gone down that a little bit, but not from like a AI standpoint.
Yeah.
I think just virtual staging has come a long way.
Very much so.
Like our lease ups, when we do a pack of like 10 units, 10 vacants, virtually stage them. It takes a lot of time because you're still choosing furniture, and like our design team is still very much involved.
Yeah.
But we used to just have to kind of trash those, a few years ago. Now they kind of live hand in hand with the actual model imagery, like to have a counterpoint to that. And I mean, I think they look great. Like they're not, fake enough to look like they need to be cycled out post stabilization, because they're great.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so jumping into tech a little bit. You mentioned Canva as being like almost an indispensable tool. Are there other areas of tech that you're finding are things that your marketing team can't live without? And then also, what about your leasing teams? What are some things that they are using on a day-to-day basis that they just are obsessed with?
Yeah, and should we be sharing names, or is that too?
Yeah, happy to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think our team is lucky to have, our marketing team and social team has been lucky to recently have, not that recently, started out with Sprout Social in terms of like overall management and like response for the social platforms. So that solved a lot of problems for us in terms of having a smaller team manage like a broad portfolio of profiles. So that's a big one on that end. I think just watching businesses like that continue to support and grow with all these advances, especially the larger ones like Sprout Social, I feel like they're pretty much like on it in terms of, Canva integration, like stuff like that is dialed in. So
cool.
That's a big one. On the leasing teams, our priority there is really just to keep the team served with a tool that will be able to help them do their job as simply as possible. So we've definitely been doing a lot of beta testing in different groups to make sure we have the best tools for them. But I think our teams have also been more vocal about when a product either does or doesn't suit those needs on site. And one of our main goals in our departments this year is to make sure we take as much off the leasing team's plate as possible, because they're dealing with more than ever. They're doing virtual tours alongside of regular tours. They're hopping on FaceTime with people out of the area to tour them through units. It's like they're getting kind of like both the COVID era marketing and like normal marketing and leasing trends all in one. So I guess, and then tying it all together, I'm really excited about just overall like business intelligence aspects of it. We've worked a lot to develop better business intelligence so our teams know and don't have to come and ask us. They feel empowered to know what's going on at their property and in the market, to help them kind of know if it's just them or if it's a broader scale thing. So
you talked a little bit about COVID and post-COVID marketing trends.
Mm-hmm.
Has centralization played at all into kind of your decisioning, or are you guys still thinking more of like a conventional model with leasing teams on site? Or have you guys kind of found like a little hybrid between the two?
Yeah, I mean, I'll try not to give away too many secrets.
Just,
But
yeah.
no, there's no secrets. No, we've had a handful of centralization across different groups where it makes sense. Usually, and it's not to like, by any means take away from like the staffing of a site. It's more to just like empower that site to be able to spend more time with the residents and less time like, hunting for leads and stuff. So we've centralized like pods of properties based around like physical location for like central leasing offices and stuff like that.
Nice.
But in terms of like overall, we still are pretty committed to making sure the teams at the properties are really the business managers and like owners of that process. So that's still a big priority for Thrive, and making sure they're empowered to execute. So we really just try to supplement that with like the best possible tools, and instead of like totally changing that game at this point. So
cool.
Yeah.
You talked a little bit too about like beta testing some new tech products, and also how your leasing team can be vocal about what's working and what's not working.
Yeah.
What are some other things that you do to help kind of audit or like make a decision as to what ends up within your tech stack?
Yeah, well, the tech stack is an interesting conversation. It's funny when transitioning properties or, taking on a property, you kind of get to analyze what other people are doing. Or if you're just, in the market and touring some assets, you get to see what other companies and groups are doing. Sometimes I'm really confused by it because it just seems like things get so fragmented and don't talk. Like our biggest priority is just making sure that everything is fully integrated at all times. So that might be the system side in us, but we just want to make sure we never want to roll something out if it has to be like manually updated or manually taken care of, like both from like a compliance side, but also from just an ease of use and like ability to actually have relevant, like up-to-date information. So
well, and for easier training as well, as like being able to train somebody that can use, like let's say Yardi, for example. If you go with Yardi and a CRM that doesn't integrate with Yardi, there might not be the training available of how does A talk to B for the leasing teams. Whereas if you do have that integration, being able to have that training available is super helpful.
Yeah, so I think just protecting that stack, whatever it might be, like, I mean, there's success to be had with like many different tech stacks, right? But I think just making sure they all are tied together in a way that makes sense for the leasing teams and for the prospects, like continuously looking at the prospect journey, I think gets missed sometimes. I mean, by us too, by everybody really, because you're really trying to make sure the teams, or, kind of your stakeholders, the clients and the prospects, make sure everybody has a good experience. And then everything should be fine. Yeah.
Love it. So you talked a little bit about kind of like some missteps with like ownership groups coming in and then not having a tech stack that makes a whole lot of sense, or at least doesn't integrate with your current solution. What were some examples of like how you're able to review, audit, adjust, like shift them into something that works cohesively with your already existing stack?
Yeah, and I should say I wasn't trying to like throw shade on anybody by any means, but there definitely, there's been some interesting things there, like when the property changes hands or something, and we'll take it over. It'll be typically it's something we set up on our best practice like stack anyway, so it's kind of a clean slate situation. Like we'll inherit all the data, like store and like upload all the data possible, but then we'll launch it on our like proven kind of platform, if you will. So that's how we're able to make sure like we can vouch for it, because we really want to be able to make sure we can like 100% vouch for what we've done to the property. So that's really the play, I guess.
Awesome. Couple last questions.
How
can marketers best collaborate with the leasing teams to drive successful marketing campaigns?
I think just asking them what they need, what they want. I have a lot of people. We try to have a really open door policy with our teams and get in front of them. We do a thing called Live with Thrive every other Friday, where we have like kind of like a talk show internally to all the Thrivers. And I think our people from my team and myself have all kind of been able to join that and talk to the teams directly, visiting the properties, just really being like there for them and knowing that they can reach out to us at any time to help get the answer to something or like understand why we do something. I think we're still we're growing, but we're still small enough that we can like really be dynamic about feedback. So I think we take feedback really seriously from our teams, especially because they're the ones driving the ship out there. And really, like we feel like we work for them to make sure things work. So just want to keep that vibe going.
Awesome.
Yeah.
How do you guys centralize those pieces of feedback or those requests? Is it all through like a team Slack channel sort of thing, or are you guys? Is it just all email based?
Well, we have an internal support desk that my teams administer for marketing and systems. We get a ton of tickets. We really pride ourselves on our response times. That's the way we can make sure we like close out every one of those things. Like it's very much not like a Zendesk, like, okay, 17 lines of text and like, hope you get back in 2 weeks or whatever. It's pretty dynamic and quick. We just wanted to make sure we always follow up. And then also we're heavy Teams users. I think my team specifically probably just burns out our team channels with internal communication on like how we can help and solve those problems. New property transitions, we're launching Teams channels for it. So they have kind of a direct line to us for the first like month or so to make sure the teams like know exactly where they can reach out. So
awesome.
Lots of that. Just over communicate, I think, is the play.
Okay. Final question. What is your motivating song of choice? Like guilty pleasure, but it's the song that gets you going, either if you're going to go work out or if it's like you're having a rough day and you just need to like pick up your day. What's that motivating song for you?
Oh man, I feel like it changes a lot. I'm not like big music buff by any means, but this is going to get some interesting feedback. Do you remember the Space Jam soundtrack?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I would say like the title track from like Everybody Get Up. Like,
oh, okay.
I'm talking, that's just like the last week. That's not been a long-term thing, but I think I have small children, which is my out on this, and they really are enjoying that currently.
And they're watching Space Jam with you?
They dabble. It's no Paw Patrol, but they definitely get into it. And
we're talking early Space Jam.
Yeah, like originals.
Okay, perfect.
OG Space Jam.
Love that.
Yeah, so that's been I've been like, you know what, this is blast from another time.
We'll throw that into the Spotify playlist.
Yeah, sorry in advance. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate the conversation, and let me pick your brain a little bit.
All right. Sounds good.
And we're out.